Now, despite Joe Biden's current lead in the race to get to 270 electoral college votes, the Trump campaign's feeling bullish today following a legal victory, ordering meaningful access to Philadelphia ballot counting, although you heard former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi telling us how that's going. Now, one top official in the Trump campaign predicting not only re-election, but a re-election victory as early as tomorrow. So let's bring in tonight's Power Panel. Fox News contributors Leslie Marshall and Molly Hemingway, and former Deputy Assistant Attorney General John Yoo. Welcome to all of you.
Hi, Shannon.
Hello. All right, Molly, I want to start with you because tonight in the Pennsylvania, I believe it was the Secretary of State's press conference that she had, she said after we've watched these votes change and the president's lead's now down to under 25,000 there in Pennsylvania, she announced that they have hundreds of thousands of ballots still to count. What do you make of the timeline? I mean, some states have it under control. They get it done ahead of time. Pennsylvania, it's always going to be in the, it's going to be in the spotlight because it's a critical battleground state. But what do you make of the fact that we now find out tonight hundreds of thousands more votes still to go?
Well, I think it's not just that they keep finding ballots that need to be counted, but also the manner in which they are being counted. The foundation of our republic is not just that we have elections, but that we have elections that we can really count on and rely on. That's not just about voting, but also about having transparency and accountability in the counting of the votes. And as counts drag on for days upon days upon days, and as for some reason these Democratic controlled areas do not want people in observing the counting of the ballots. That would be one thing if the counting of the ballots was coming in fairly evenly for Joe Biden and Donald Trump. When they're coming in overwhelmingly for Joe Biden, it's not unreasonable for Republicans to be extremely upset about their lack of access to the counting of that. This is important because no matter who ends up winning this election, people need to have confidence in the results. And as they hear about things happening in Michigan, in Nevada, in Pennsylvania, and all these things that just happen to be happening in battleground states where Donald Trump was up big on election night, and then ballots keep getting found that keep going in favor of his opponent, it makes Trump supporters feel like this is a rigged system, rigged not just because of the counting, but because of how the entire campaign was handled, from the very beginning to right now.
Okay, to the Pennsylvania Secretary of State, who we heard from earlier tonight, Charlie Kirk points this out in a tweet that she once tweeted, using the title president before Trump really demeans the office of the presidency. Charlie goes on to ask, this is who's in charge of counting ballots in Pennsylvania. Does it make sense what's going on now? So, Leslie, to Molly's point, if Joe Biden turns out to be the winner here, he's going to walk into a very divided country. How tough is it going to be for him when there are all these questions about why people can't get in to watch the vote as is provided by law? Why not just let them in and give people a little bit more comfort with the transparency of the process?
Well, there's so many things here, Shannon, and I know I have limited time, but I will try and be fast. First, I got to say some stuff regarding what Molly said. The Supreme Court ruled that in North Carolina and Pennsylvania, if your ballot is postmarked by Election Day, you have till a certain day to have it counted, and that's why these elections go on days and days. Specifically in Pennsylvania, the mail-in ballots are counted last, not first like in many other states, Florida as an example, and that is not a Democratic but a Republican legislature in Pennsylvania that did that. Shannon, to your point about a woman who prior in her personal life, when she was not in office and she was not in this position, did vote that did tweet that she did not like the president, obviously, by that tweet. But we also have people that are running elections in various states that are registered Republicans, that are registered Democrats. I mean, that's going to happen. Joe Biden has a very difficult task. I wouldn't want to be president. I don't understand why anybody would want the job. My son said to me the other day, you have COVID-19. We have highest numbers. We have numbers, just continuing to grow. We're worried about winter. We have the economy issue with unemployment.
I don't want to get too far off track. Yeah, I don't want to get too far off track because I want to stick to some of these legal fights and what we're talking about. I want to bring John Yoo in. And I think it's important to note, as Leslie mentioned these cases in the Supreme Court, John, for the most part, they've not ruled on the merits of these cases. And that Pennsylvania case is still pending there.
Yeah, I just want to clarify one point. The U.S. Supreme Court has neither blessed nor rejected what's going on in Pennsylvania right now. The case is still sitting there waiting for essentially Amy Coney Barrett to show up and decide whether the Supreme Court is going to hear this case. And there's a fundamental constitutional issue here underneath this, which is the Pennsylvania legislature under the Constitution has the sole right to set the rules about how to take an election and run an election. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court changed the date when the ballots were due by 3 days. The constitutional question the U.S. Supreme Court has to resolve is, was that unconstitutional, and should all the ballots that came in after Election Day be thrown out?
Yeah, because when the Constitution says it's up to state legislatures, that is the question. That's the key that the Supreme Court will have to go to if they take this case, not whether judges and other bodies outside the legislature can change the rules after they've been set by the legislature. Okay, thank you all. Stick around. We've got a lot more to talk about, panel. And Leslie, if Joe Biden is the next president, he will come into a divided Capitol Hill. It appears for now, and there are still undecided races on both sides, but that the GOP will hold control of the Senate, Democrats will hold control of the House. But when it comes to things like judicial appointments and those kinds of things, there are going to be some real clashes if it's a Biden White House and a Mitch McConnell Senate.
Well, Mitch McConnell and other Republicans in the Senate have already, Shannon, signaled a willingness to work with Joe Biden. They know Joe Biden. Joe Biden has been very clear. And as a matter of fact, Steve, a Joe Biden presidency, just yesterday, Joe Biden said, let's listen to each other, respect each other, look at each other. Our opponents are not our enemies. And Mitch McConnell has basically said that he is willing, and other Republicans in the Senate, to work with Joe Biden, in a bipartisan manner, unless something is coming from very far left field, radical left field. And I think that Joe Biden will have the ability, if he is elected president, to reach across the aisle. You know, he's been in government a long time. He knows a lot of these individuals. There's a great deal of like and respect on both sides of the aisle for Joe Biden. A lot of Republicans, Lindsey Graham said, what, God didn't make a finer man. So I think Joe Biden will be able to do that. And I think, you know what, it's not just about, Shannon, the president, but the people. We have a choice to either go, wait a minute, but they said, or we can say, you know what, like Joe Biden says, let's put the rhetoric of the election behind us. Let's move forward. United we stand, divided we fall. We're stronger together.
Hey, Leslie, that's something that Democrats have not been happy about. They've said that's actually very dangerous, but it is something that will last long beyond any Trump presidency.
Well, to Steve's point, it would. Look, I may be a Democrat, but Donald Trump changed the Republican Party for sure. I mean, there are many more Latino and African-American votes that have gone for him, not just in 2016, but in this election, even though we don't have all of the votes in yet. But we have seen him change the Republican Party in a couple of ways that aren't good. At least in this election, we've seen seniors go away from him compared to 2016 for Joe Biden, and we've seen women go away from him. But it's not all about him and just him being in the party. That's been happening with women going to Democrats since 1980. But you know what? I'm not sure it's the party, because Donald Trump, whether he is president for another 4 years or whether he is not president any longer and the next 4 years goes to Joe Biden, I'm not sure it's the party that will be changed necessarily if he is not running for the party. Because, quite frankly, there are a lot of people that just like his personality. He does have charisma. I've never met him. And a lot of people have said to me, I think Sean Hannity told me if I met the president, I would like him. And a lot of people have said that. And I just think a different type of candidate, even taking these changes in the Republican Party, might have a different outcome going forward than Donald Trump. It's something, not just the party, but definitely the person.
Well, he definitely shook up the establishment and the way the party had been run and the people who were running it for a long time. So his impact will be felt in a number of areas. And I'm sorry that John had left us during the commercial. But we're grateful for the three of you. Thank you, panel, for sticking around.